I worked on extensively on ESB tools like a TIBCO and MuleSoft. So I
Okay.
started my career on TIBCO. So I was there on 5 years. After that, I got opportunity to work on MuleSoft. Then I'm working on a MuleSoft. Sometimes both a MuleSoft and a TIBCO whenever we have a migration projects. Okay. And coming to these
Okay.
online courses, I'm taking online courses since 2.5 years. So we have
Okay.
delivered multiple batches. And
Okay.
we trained like on 3.8 and 3.9. There are different type of versions in a MuleSoft. So
Okay.
it's evolving every year. Okay. Right now it is a 4.22 and latest version is a 4.31. But industrial standards we are using a 4.
Zero.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is a brief about the course. And currently in this session we are going to cover the version 4, like a MuleSoft
Okay.
server version 4 and Studio 7. Okay. So
Okay.
this is a brief about myself. I just want to know like what is your background and what is your technology, why you are looking for a MuleSoft. Give me a brief.
Actually, I have 9 years of experience in IT and complete into testing side.
Okay.
So I want to change from testing to another technology. So I think you know my brother Karthik Boba. He took training from you regarding MuleSoft.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, he's my brother. So he suggested your name to take
Okay.
the MuleSoft course.
Yeah, sure. Amit. Yeah.
And I
It
have
is.
doubts like,
Yeah.
so I have zero knowledge on MuleSoft. So I want to know whether I can learn it. I want to know about the future of the MuleSoft also. I came to know that the Salesforce has acquired the MuleSoft, but down the line, how many years it will be? I mean, how the future will be, and and I want to keep experience around 3 years out of 9 years. 3 years I want to keep in MuleSoft. So I want to know about.
It's a $1
Please go
million
ahead.
question. Okay. To answer that question is very tough. But ideally, if you take any tool, any middleware tool like a TIBCO or Oracle Fusion or IBM Web Methods,
Okay.
they might have around, they will give up to 10 years of guarantee for that tool. Okay.
Okay.
And but
Okay.
here right now we cannot comment on that, like how long it will go, because right now the MuleSoft is a very a rich tool. If I say like if I compare with other ESB tools. Okay. So we are not
Okay.
sure how long it will go. It may like we thought that TIBCO will end within 10 years or 5 to 10 years, but it lasts
Okay.
around 20 years. Okay. Still they are
Okay.
using TIBCO, but recently that TIBCO was purchased by some other company. Like previously,
Okay.
it is an individual company, individual software company, but now it was
Okay.
purchased by some construction company. So that is the reason there is a place to that market. This is the only
Okay.
tool which can replace the TIBCO. So
Okay.
in that scenario, like we never say, we cannot comment on that how long it would be, but right now it is a very good demand, and I
Okay.
can definitely say that if you learn a MuleSoft, okay, so you might have awareness for all the concepts, like as a developer or not only developer, as a software engineer. So we will
Okay.
go from end to end of the technology, like what will happen in industry. So let us take
Okay.
any domain, just like a banking
Okay.
or telecom, whatever it may be. So where the
Okay.
exact it will start, what are the components are available, what are the network elements are there, those concepts you will get to know. Like so, even if you in future, if you want to migrate to another technology, easily you can adapt that. Just like us, like we have gone through the TIBCO, and easily we
Okay.
migrated in a month of course. So we
Okay.
migrated to MuleSoft because all the concepts and scenarios, everything is same. The only thing is that the variation will be different, like
Okay.
creating flows. There might be change, but otherwise the middleware is everlasting. So it required a middleware as long as IT
Okay.
is there.
Okay. And I have came to know that there are two types of MuleSoft. One is MuleSoft developer, other one is MuleSoft admin. So
So admin is just like I will clarify that. Okay, what does admin means? So as a developer, we should aware of all the admin part, development part, and deployment part. Like, do you have any idea on the DevOps?
Yeah,
DevOps part.
idea and DevOps. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, yeah.
we, as a developer, he has a commanding on all the SDLC. Okay, software
Okay.
development. But coming to the
Okay.
admin part, if exclusively there is a job for admin, that is not only for a MuleSoft. They need to hand over. They need to have to experience to handle the server level, like Unix servers, Linux servers, okay, and admin. So not only MuleSoft admin,
Okay.
there might be different technologies. Let us take a TIBCO is also there. Then they should have experience on TIBCO administration. And also, if you have they
Okay.
have like a Salesforce or any other technology, they aren't supposed to control all the servers and applications at their end. That means it's purely related to Unix or Linux based job. Okay, but not
Okay.
there is no specific to the MuleSoft because this is very simple. If I consider a Mule admin, it is very simple to maintain the services, deploy the applications, and monitoring the applications. That's very simple. Okay,
Okay.
if we have like a Mule admin, that means along with all these features, like Linux features, they need MuleSoft also. That is the requirement. Okay, so most
Okay.
probably out of 100 jobs, 99 jobs will be on a developer roles. There is only one job that also exclusively whoever supporting to the other teams, they might need a Mule developer, Mule admin, along with the Linux admin.
Okay. Okay. And are there any languages to be known before started learning this? Like, what are
Yes.
the languages we
So
should learn?
yeah, but
Yeah.
basically, I can say one thing. See, I'm a TIBCO developer. I have never know any language. Even I don't know C, C++, and I'm background of electronics. Okay, so still
Okay.
we are surviving in a middleware because middleware itself is a language. We don't want to use other languages in order to implement any code. If we are using a other language, means that tool is not capable to implement such kind of scenarios. Those are the very rare scenarios where we can need to write a custom code. Okay, in such a
Okay.
cases we need to depend on some languages, any language, whether it is a Python, Java, C++. Most probably we will use a Java, basic Java. Okay,
Okay.
so if
Okay.
you know the languages, that is an add-on. Like you will get to know all the concept advanced. Otherwise it's not required here. So even we are freshers also learning this technology. That is the advantage of a MuleSoft technology. It's a very affordable and easily we can learn the technology without
Okay.
any prior knowledge.
Okay.
Okay, and I
Okay.
hope you are a tester, right? So hopefully you know like what is a API and what is the REST services, web services. So all these concepts you already know, like how they are using. So when we are discussing about those concepts, easily you can acquire that knowledge.
Okay. Okay. Actually, I was worried about the language. I have zero knowledge on the languages. So,
Yeah, no problem. So language is not required here. There are some few things which we need to learn. I mean, learning nothing but just it's not like a Java. There are the called data view language. That is an expression language which we will use in a
okay.
MuleSoft. And that is an expression language. It's not a it's not like a Java or C++ like hoops concept. But that is a okay. That is a manageable code, simple code, just like an English terminology.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And yeah, that's it. So Chandra, hey, hi Chandra, good morning.
Yeah, hi Kishore. Yeah, good morning.
Hey, hi Chandra. So can you please give me a brief about yourself, and if you have any doubt, you can ask me.
Yeah, sure. So Kishore, like I have 11 years experience. Like I'm into basically TIBCO since 4 years, and even I worked on the Spring Boot, Spring Framework, Java. So currently I'm in Australia working for some Australia Post TIBCO integration. So, but like as you know, like TIBCO is becoming stagnant, where we don't have any positions no more in the companies. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like I have to take a decision to move to the MuleSoft, where like currently MuleSoft is like a hard integration area. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my main motive. Like I'm looking for a chain company, so I want to like go with MuleSoft.
Yes, so Chandra. So I just have a question. Like you said, like you already have experience on Spring Boot, right? So
Yeah,
why don't
Spring
you
Boot.
try on Spring Boot? Spring Boot is also emerging technology, and there are a lot of scope.
Yeah, I know, but like the thing is like Spring Boot, it's always like if it is a tool, it is very like the competition is a bit less compared to the Spring Java. I'm trying both on Spring and integration. So whatever I got, like I'll move to that one. Yeah.
Yeah, good, Chandra. Because why I'm asking is, see, recently I moved, not recently, around 6-7 months back, I moved from Wells Fargo to HSBC. Okay. So
Okay. Yeah.
even in Wells Fargo, we migrated a TIPCO applications into MuleSoft. Okay. So
Mhm.
before migration, we have done a lot of research on tools, like what would be the best tool and all these. At the time, some architects referred the Spring Boot, and some architects referred the MuleSoft. Okay.
That's good. Yeah.
So both are compatible and almost similar. Like, but here it is a tool, that is a language, that is, but it's
That,
absolutely
yeah.
sector with respect to the API implementation. Okay, in that prospect, I'm asking like why. So even in HSBC also, what we are doing, we have a both teams like Spring Boot and as well as MuleSoft. Okay,
Yeah.
so again, there is a lot of weightage if we have these combination like this Spring Boot and the MuleSoft, because I will come to know that. So we have a API-led connectivity approach. Like we have different type of layers, layer one, layer two, layer, and we can maintain all the three layers with a single technology. But in HSBC, what we are doing, we are maintaining two levels in a MuleSoft and one level in a Spring Boot. Okay, so I will come to
Okay.
know that. I will let you know what it is and why we use that. Okay, I will give a brief about. There is a one PPT with me. Okay, so of course the whole PPT. I hope everyone knows this. I will just go through that PPT and I will let you know like what exactly there in a MuleSoft. Okay.
Okay. Okay, Kishore.
Okay, like like what is let me give 1 second. Okay, what is a point-to-point integration? So I just want to give brief to Amit. Okay, so I hope Chandra, you already know all these things. Okay, so you already work on TIPCO. So
Yeah.
like a P2P is a point-to-point integration. I will give a simple example, Amit. Like if suppose we are, let us take an example. So I am a customer for a telecom like a BSNL. Okay, in my home I need a telephone. Okay, so what we will do,
Okay.
ideally we will call to the customer care. So while calling the customer care, they will take the basic details of us, like our address and the contact details and some documents, few documents, right? Once they have
Yeah.
taken, then the process will get started in IT. So what would be the process like? If it is a land phone, like you will get one engineer, a junior engineer will come to your home and he will look for the connection and establish all the networking connection. Once he is done, then he will go for the next step like giving the that switching activities. Okay, and after that, what will happen? The real software will come into the picture, saying that suppose you have taken a mobile, but you need some package like a billing package. What package do you require? So based on that, they will assign a billing package. So there is a system for that, like where they're maintaining an inventory. Okay, like it will take consideration of Oliver what kind of a number they have available right now, the number, which number they want to assign to your telephone, and what package they want to give on all these things. And there is another system which is take care about your call recordings, like how many minutes you called and what where you need to call, like ISD, STD. So all these calculations will be done by another system. And there is a one more system like a billing system. It will take care about the billing based on your package and based on your call recording history, CDRs. Okay, so and after that there might be another systems like where you can recharge, like if suppose you want to pay your billing, so you can use a different type of portals. Nowadays you can use a phone pay or like different applications from the Android, and even you can use a graphical UI, okay, user interfaces. So you have a multiple options. Okay, those are the channel. Likewise, see, if suppose you want to interact with all these things, so each and every system should have your basic details, like who is the customer, like your name and your contact number, right? Or your other card. So that information needs to pass across all the systems. So it is very difficult to pass that information if you integrate in point to point. Like I will say an example, like if suppose a CRM is there, there is a one system and there is another system called a billing. If suppose you want to pass this customer information to the billing, and let us take the CRM system will be implemented based on the Java language, and that billing is might be a Keynon language. There is some other technology like Keynon or Salesforce, whatever it may be. So these are the different technologies they implemented these systems, how they integrate each other, how they interact or communicate each other. That is a point, I mean, the question here. So if it is a one-to-one system, like two systems, then anyhow we can write something in a Java and we will convert that message into the respected format, how the other system can understand that message, and then we can send. But if we have a multiple systems, it's very difficult to write a code in a single system. Okay, so that is the where we will move towards the middleware. Okay, so this is the middleware. So nothing but here a middleware is there. So this is the tool which can take care about the communication among all these systems. They never directly contact each other, but they will go through the ESB tool. So ESB, what it is providing, it will provide some adapters. Just like adapter, nothing but it will convert one form into another form or one language into another language. So those adapters are already inbuilt in ESB tools. So let us take some CRM. This is a front end, it's like a Java, and it want to interact with some database. Okay. Now we have an adapter called a database adapter. So directly it will take the request from the CRM and then will convert, and it will convert into the database language. So like each and everywhere, like if it is HTTP, we have a HTTP, and if it's a JDBC, we have a JDBC. Like with whatever the component, whatever the format we want to write, so we have a predefined adapters in a ESBs. That is
one
the
doubt here.
Yeah.
Hello, Kishore, I have one doubt here. So for suppose if we are getting request from CRM, until the request will go to ESB, and then from ESB to service registry, right? And
Yes.
From there the response will come, and again the flow will be same like from ESB to CRM. So here the
Yes.
main is service registry is the main part, right?
Yeah. So here I can say like a source and target. See, sometimes the request will is coming from the CRM, then this is a source, and my target is I want to push or I want to get some data from the database, then this is my end system, like a target system. Either reverse way it will be sometimes the reverse, like I have some data in a database, I want to display to the CRM, or I want to send that data to the CRM. In such a cases, this is my source and this is my target. In ESB, like we will always talking about the source and system, source and destination, or source and target systems. Okay. But it is a limited. ESB also limited nowadays. How it is limited is, like let us take, if it is an ESB, then let us see, suppose I'm working for a Cisco or some other telecom company. Let us take a Cisco client. Okay. In the Cisco, if I have all these systems, these all systems belong to Cisco, so easily they can interact. Like they have their own front end, they have their back end team, they have their own third parties. Okay, they will interact with each other. That is so that will be within intranet, within their network. Okay, so let us take an example. If suppose I want to interact with some third party which is not belongs to my company, I will give one example here. So let us take a Uber. Okay, Uber or Ola. So what is happening in a Uber? They will get the map, but ideally where they are getting that map, they are getting from the Google API. So they will interact with the Google. So Uber will interact with the Google API to get that Google map. So once they have the map, and on the map they will do some customization, like for 20 kilometers this must be the price, and these are the caps are available. This kind of data they can implement. So they are integrating a API or application which is not within their boundary, but it is outside their boundary. In such cases, we have an approach called API-led connectivity. So this even middleware is not efficient to tackle such a kind of scenarios. Okay, so that is the place where we got we will look into the API nowadays. So not only MuleSoft, everywhere everyone is moving towards the API, just like a Spring Boot or even TipCalls, they are moving APIs. Okay, so basically why API is required. Okay, so I will give a basic example here. So in a traditional approach, like previously, like how we are developing the project is, so So let us take one example. So I need a front end like a UI, a user interface tool in my Windows. So where I can get the order details, just like take a Flipkart or Amazon.com. So if suppose I have given some, I placed one order, I have purchased one item, then I want to track that order status, whether it is reached or what is the status of that. So what will happen? So ideally, I will interact with my API. This is the application. You can say that one application which is implemented in a software, and it will connect with endpoints like a database or Salesforce or SAP, any other system, end system, and they will get the data and then display here. Okay.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. So what is the problem here is, so let us take, after some time, we got a different device where I need to get the same data, just like Android. Now this is a compatible only for the Windows. Okay. Now there is a mobile application, so where I need to get the same data. Just like we have apps like Flipkart or ordered maybe from a mobile also, I need to get the same information. But whatever the project which we already implemented, that is only compatible to the our web apps. Okay. So again, we need to implement another project here. So this is a redundant and it will consume a lot of time. And even if I get another device here, just like another software or OS change, then again I need to implement another application. So to avoid this, what we have done, like we have gone through this API-led connectivity approach. So this approach, they have segregated like a 3 layers, okay, like a system layer, process layer, and experience layer. So system layer is nothing but here I will create a simple project like a simple API. I can also say that this is a microservice. Okay. So these services, what is the purpose of, what is the action of this microservice is, it needs to interact with a specific target system and it will return the data. That's it. That work is completed by this API. The same way here, there is one more API, that customer API. So customer API needs to get the customer data from the SAP and as well as the Salesforce. So once it gets the customer data, then the job is completed. So likewise, in system API, there is a, inside the system API, we have a API which directly interacting with the end systems and it will get the data. That's it. There is no business logic inside here. And there, I will create another API here where I can implement the business logic. Saying that, see, if suppose I want to get the customer order history, so what really required, first of all, I need to know what is the customer, who is the customer, under the customer, what are the different type of orders are available. So I need to interact with these 2 APIs, and finally I will get the data. So there is some business logic here. So getting the customer data, doing some processing, and mapping the orders and customers with respect to their customer, and then finally we need to return that history. Okay. So this is a business logic. So whatever the business logic which I have, I will implement it under the process API. And finally, I have an experience API. So now experience API will interact with the process API, and then it will decide what type of how can understandable by the other system like source system. So here right now it is a web service. So it will convert into the readable format or understandable format by this web service, this source system. And the same way here also the mobile. So this is the only experience layer. In case if suppose I want to, if I get any other new technology or new source of from here, a channel, then I can implement only experience layer. But I don't change these APIs like a process API, system API, all are common because my business logic and everything is same. The only thing is that this experience API. So this is the way how they segregated all the APIs. This is a led connectivity approach which we are exclusively following in a MuleSoft. Okay, not only MuleSoft, everywhere we are following right now. Like as I said, like even in Spring Boot also we are creating a microservices, but not exactly in this manner. But we are creating a microservices and we integrating each other. Okay. So for integration again, they need to depend on another middleware tool, but in MuleSoft it is not like that. So we don't require any other another tool. In MuleSoft itself, we will do the integration between all these applications. Okay, and also there is some advantages here, not only here, logic, but security wise, there is a lot of advantages. See now here, system APIs, very sensitive APIs are applications which we need to protect very carefully. So I will take this, I will put this entire system APIs inside my firewall, like in my within my network, and they are all inside the firewall. So only process APIs can interact with my system APIs. Other than that, never can interact with my system APIs. So these are the safe. That means my core data is safe. The data which is coming from the database of Salesforce or any system, that data is safe. So here I can implement some policies. So we have some policies like JW token or SAML token, might have aware of it. So all the securities levels I can build here. And again, inside the process layer also, I can put some kind of a security, like creating a proxies, and even we can apply some policies here. Okay. And the experience layer is the public process, public APIs. Anyone can interact with these experience APIs. But from here, again, this experience API want to interact with the process API, it needs some authentication and authorization. So they have 3-level security layers we can implement in this approach. Okay. And also coupling and decoupling. In future, if suppose I don't want this system, okay, I want to decommission this. I don't want to change everything here. Just I can decouple this system. It won't impact anything here. Okay, even the same like experience layer. If suppose I want to decommission this Android mobile, then I can decommission only this API. I don't want to change the entire technology, entire course here. Okay, this is also another advantage. So there are many advantages here, the maintenance and then coupling and decoupling. So all these advantages are there in the API-led Connect approach. The only disadvantage is it will increase a number of applications. Okay, I can put everything in a single application, but here we are segregating as a multiple applications. That is the only disadvantage. Okay, so this is all about these systems like experience API, process API system is what exactly they are doing and all. And you know, like coming to the APIs, API-led connectivity, this is a trend which we are which it is following. So the growth is a very huge. Even in 2020, all technologies they are implementing API approaches. Okay, so you know, like what is the API are in web services, there are 2 types of web services which we have, like a SOAP-based web services and RESTful web services. These APIs are RESTful APIs, REST-based API approaches. Okay, like you have like get method and delete post method and patch method. These are different type of methods which we have in RESTful services. Using these RESTful methods, we are interacting with the RESTful services. Okay, any doubt here? So why we are moving towards API-led connectivity? So we cross the middleware, and again we are going towards the API-led connectivity. Any doubts, Amit or Chandra?
Then you're fine, Kishore.
Yeah. Now coming to the MuleSoft here. So basically, so okay, this is a middleware like a Mule ESB. So why we are going for a Mule? There are a lot of things like as I said, like this is the only tool which will compete with TIBCO right now. Okay, everyone knows like a TIBCO has a major clients and they have major market, but due to some reasons, people are moving away from the TIBCO to other technologies. Now, when they are looking for other technologies, this is the only tool which can replace the MuleSoft TIBCO right now. Okay, because it has like I can say that a Mule is a copycat. I can say that because it has copied all the best features which are available in a right now, which are available in a different technologies, and it adapted it. Let us take in a TIBCO. So what are the concepts which we have in a TIBCO? All concepts are available in a MuleSoft, and also some features which are there in Oracle Fusion, they have adapted. So it adopted all the best features, and then it implemented this tool. That is a Mule tool. And along with that, it already implemented the API-led connectivity, and there are some security features which are available, and also it has n number of connectors. So inbuilt connectors. If suppose in a MuleSoft, if suppose you want in TIBCO, you want to work on RESTful services, you need to purchase a RESTful component at the plugin. So like by Salesforce, if suppose you want to interact with the Salesforce, again you need to plug in, you need to purchase the plugin. Like so the TIBCO is so it's kind of like cost is like based on the different type of connectors which we are using. But in MuleSoft, it's not like that. They have an inbuilt application, inbuilt connectors which are already there. So with that we can directly use those connectors. Okay. So these are the end systems, and this is a middleware like where we are where it is providing a connectors to to interact with other applications. Okay, and these are the different type of components or elements which are there. So I will show you later. So coming to the API development life cycle. So coming to this is a MuleSoft SFDC. So initially we will do the design. So this is the first thing, like API first. First we will create an API design. Once we create the API design, then only we will go for the build. Okay. So what is the design is like without implementing or without doing a coding, first we will see like we will gather the requirement from the client, and based on the client we will do the API design in a designer, and then we will simulate in front of the client. So once client is accepted and he is okay with the request and responses, then only we will come for the development, like a build. Okay, once building is completed, then we'll go for the testing, and then we will go for the deployment and monitoring and retroubling, analyzing, and responding again. It will continue. Okay, for each and every stage, a Mule is provided a tool. So the design phase, they have provided an API designer where we can write a RAML code. RAML is nothing but it's kind of a AML. So you might heard about the AML language. So same way here, they just copied the AML and they renamed it as a RAML. Okay, RESTful Modeling Language API. So here what we are doing, we just gather the requirement from the client. Whatever we gathered, we will just put it here on a paper, just like a paper, how we are putting our requirement. Same way here, we will put our requirement under this API designer, and then based on that we can do the simulation, like we can showcase to the client. You can feel like a real experience, like there is some API which is already implemented, so he can feel that experience by doing this simulation. So just he will submit the request and he will get the response. Like we will say that we will send him a dummy response, but the format and everything will be the same like how he is expecting. The data might be the sample data, but the structure and the request response what he is getting will be the same. So based on that, if he has any suggestions, again we will do in those modifications under the designer, and finally we will get the approval from the client. Once we get the approvals, then only we will go for the building. So Anypoint Studio, just like a TIBCO designer or any like Eclipse, if you already aware of Eclipse, so we have a tool where we can create the flows, and then once we created the flow, we will create a unit test cases. So just like in a MuleSoft, TIBCO or Java, how we have a JUnit test cases, unit test cases. Here also we have a unit test cases. We will create the unit test cases, and then we'll go for the deployment. Okay, so coming to the deployment, again we have a different type of tools which is provided the MuleSoft, like a runtime manager. So this is a runtime manager, just kind of administration tool where we can deploy your application. You can configure the servers and you can deploy your applications into the server, and even you can monitor the applications and you can create the alerts. Okay, whatever the admin part it can do, everything you can do from this runtime manager. Even you can maintain the users. Okay, like in a project you might have a number of users, like team wise developers and testers or support team and all these things, right? Same way here also we can segregate as a team and we provide a different access. Okay, this is the overall about MuleSoft.
Okay.
And I will show you the tools also. So this is like anypoint.mulesoft.com. So it will be right now I have a trial account, so you have only 30 days of validity. So in real time we need to purchase from the MuleSoft. Okay, for each project or each each project I have this one account. Inside the account it might have a number of users. Okay, so this is we call it as an Anypoint platform.
Yeah. Usually, do we have any TIBCO administration similar kind of concept where like you deploy all applications into? You can
that is a runtime. Yes, that is a runtime. Yeah, that is a runtime manager where we can configure the servers, applications, deploy. You can monitor and you can check the logs, everything. Just like a TIBCO administrator, it is a runtime manager.
Okay, so we can have in dev environment, test environment, and production.
Yeah, all environment you can monitor. So another advantage in the MuleSoft is like you don't want to install any software. So they provided all the software as a solution. Okay.
Okay.
Previously, what we have in a MuleSoft, I mean, TIBCO, we need to download all the softwares and then we need to install, right, in our local. But here you don't
Correct.
require. You just need you require only internet, so that you can interact with the Anypoint Studio, Anypoint platform. Inside the Anypoint platform, they provided all the tools, so directly you can implement everything under the portal. Okay.
So what?
Except
Okay.
except Anypoint
Okay.
Studio. This is a design like where we are doing the coding, but this is also they are trying to put it as a SAS, like a software as a solution here. But right now we are not using that, since that is still in R&D phase. Okay. So even previously also we have a separate admin, a Mule admin, like a MMC we call it as Mule commanding interface. So we need to install that software, and then where we can monitor, we can do the administration part. But now they migrated into a Anypoint platform. Inside Anypoint platform only we have everything, like administrator and access management and even designer, API designer, everything. Now this is the only one software we need to install, that is the Anypoint Studio, where we are writing the code, like creating a flows and implementing a business logic, everything here. This is the Anypoint Studio.
But
Of
what
course,
in case?
our 80%
Yeah.
of 80%
But
of
what
our
in
job
case like
on
Okay.
what is
No, what in case like if you want to deploy an on-premises your application, on-premises
yeah.
Linux server?
So like in deployment phase, like there are two kind of things, like one is on-premise, and nowadays we are doing the cloud. Okay. So
Okay.
on-premise is nothing but within your local server, like your physical servers, which is responsible for your company or a client. So if you want to do that, then this is a runtime manager where you can configure that server. Okay. Once you configure the server, then you can deploy from the runtime manager, just like how we can deploy in a cloud. Same way. Deployment process is same. Instead of there is an option called target. So this is a runtime manager. Okay. You can see here runtime manager. So these are my applications which are running. So this is my local server and this is my cloud. Are you able to see my screen?
No, we are not able to. It's stuck.
Okay. Give me a second.
Eh,
What screen you currently seeing?
Blank screen. We are able to.
Yes.
Okay. Give me 1 minute. Okay, are you able to see now? Please let me know if you are able to see my screen.
Yes, now we can see runtime manager.
Yeah, runtime manager. So this is a API Anypoint platform. So inside the Anypoint platform, we have a different type of tools. So I just log in into this Anypoint platform. Inside the Anypoint platform, you have a designer. So designer is nothing but where we are writing a API documentation, like a specification. That we call it as a rammer. That is a design. Okay. Once we gather the requirement of the client, we can create a document and we can simulate the document and we can request to the client. Once it is approved, then we will go for the Anypoint Studio. So like the physical, like this is software which we install in a laptop. So here we will implement the application. Once we implement it, then using this runtime manager, we can deploy our applications. Okay. So here this is a runtime manager. So here we have like application servers and alerts, and inside the server we will configure the servers here, just like you asked me, right? Local servers or on-prem servers. Here you can configure the servers. Okay. Right now these servers are not working right now, not running, so it is disconnected. Okay. And if you see the under the applications, I have deployed two applications. One is cloud premises and one is on premises. Okay. So here I use the Mule Cloud, which is provided by the Cloud Hub, which is provided by the MuleSoft. Under the Cloud Hub, I have deployed this application. Okay. If you see this is a target. While deploying your application, it will ask you like whether you want to deploy into a Cloud Hub, like your cloud, or on-prem. So based on that, it will take care. It will do the deployment. Okay.
Okay.
And from here you can control your applications, like whether you want to start, stop, redeploy, or even if you want to see the logs, you can see the logs. Okay, so all the deals will be there, and even you can put the some alerts if anything goes wrong. Like here right now server is not running, then if I want to put alert, I can put an alert. Even you can monitor the servers also. Okay, here, so you can run your server and you can manage your servers. Even if you want restart, you can restart or delete or whatever it may be, just like in TIBCO how we are doing. So this part, like administration part, we can do under this runtime manager. Okay, and coming to the accessibility, so right now I am an admin. Okay, I have an admin role. That is the reason I am able to see everything. But if suppose there is some testers or production guys, okay, so if they don't want all these options like controlling the services, so we can disable the access from the access management. Under this access management, you can create a custom, you can create a user and you can control the user access. Okay,
Okay. Yep.
just like in TIBCO, we have the access management. The same way here, we have access management where we can create a groups. If you want, you can create a group. If you want, you can create the individual. Under this, you have a roles, and whatever the roles they want, you can create these roles here. Okay, so very simple. Comparatively other technologies, very simple here. Even we don't want to remember anything here. Okay, and the exchange is nothing but a kind of a repository, but not a version controller. What is the importance here is, so as I said, like in this account, like Anypoint platform, we have n number of users. Okay, let us take a developers. There are 10 developers, but I have created one project like a API design center. Inside the design center, I have created a document which is related to one project. I want to share across my team, then I can push the same code into Exchange. If I push it to the Exchange, so whoever have the access to this Anypoint account, they can access your document. That is the Exchange. Not only the document, even you can push your project into this Exchange. Okay. And even MuleSoft is providing some sample documents and sample APIs. So those all are available under the Exchange. This is kind of a storage. Okay. So this is about the Anypoint platform. And coming to the Anypoint Studio. So once design is completed, then we will come to this Anypoint Studio. Okay, where we will implement the business logic. So now here, if we have experience of Eclipse, it is almost related. I mean, it seems to be look like an Eclipse because this is a Spring applications. The background is a Java Spring only. Okay, so here, so where you can create the applications. Even if you want to create a Mule project, you can create a project. Even you can create a Java project also. Okay, that feasible is also there in this too. But ideally, we are going to create a Mule project. Okay, once you create the Mule project, then automatically it will create the structure, entire structure. Even I heard like in a Mule 6 also they were providing this this thing. Like let me take like I want to create some hello world. I'm going to choose the version. Okay, so here, so automatically this structure, if you see this is a structure which is automatically created with the means of like the folder structures and JRE library, it automatically bring it, and then the form.xml file. Okay, so everything it will create automatically. So it is already there in the same name. There is a reason for exception. So this is the how we can create the flows. So inside this SRC main view, you have a .xml file like hello world.xml file. This is the place where we are going to create the flows. Okay, so these are the components like a palettes which are available in the Mule software. Okay, and suppose we add a model. If suppose you want to work on, these are the primary components, like basic components which are required for any project. It is already there. If suppose I want to add a database, I want to work on a database, then you can add a model, click on add a model, so that you will get an option called all the connectors here. Suppose you want to work on a database, you can drag this database to here. So automatically it will get all the components which are related to a database. Under the database, these are the different type of components or palettes which are available based on the operations. Okay, and Mule 4 is fully form-based technology, like a Maven-based technology. So before 4th version, then 3.9, you can create a without Maven or with Maven. But in a Mule 4, it is a fully Maven-based technology. So it has a POM, and inside the POM you have a dependencies. I will discuss these things later, but I just giving a brief. So we have a POM. Based on that, it will download the dependencies from the internet, from the Maven repository. Okay, and remaining all of them like run as, you have both the debug as run as and the project search, and then so like if suppose you want to import a project, you can import and export, and switch to different workspaces. And this is another thing like an install new software. Let us take right now, this is my version which I am working at 4.2.2. Suppose you want to work on 4.1.1, then you need to go to this help and you need to install that version. From here, you have option where you can install the servers. Okay, even you can add the plugins. Let us say if suppose you are working, you want to plug in with a GitHub, okay, like a Bitbucket or GitHub, then you can download that plugin and they can append to the Anypoint Studio. The same way here, if you want to update the versions, runtime versions, you can update the runtime versions. So I'm doing it. Okay, Studio runtime. So if I click this, you will get all the versions here. What are the versions which are available, like a 4.112 up to 4.2.1. Okay, 2.1. So whatever the version you want to use, you can use all the versions. So you can download that version and you can create application depending on the version type. Okay, this is all about the MuleSoft tools. So any doubts?
Kishore, like in TIBCO, how we have the starter process, like start and then, like how the mule process will work, like what is the starting point in mule?
Same just like a mule. So but here the thing is that we will create a flow. Okay, once you drag the flow here, so we have it. One is a source component, another is a process. In a source, you will put the starters. Okay, whatever the connector you want to put, you can put under the source. And inside the process, you can put other remaining components, like a business process.
Orchestration,
Okay.
something.
Let me create a own project, which is a RESTful service. Let me let it be. Those are. Let me open new project and okay, this is my project. Let me close the remaining project, close unrelated project. Okay, all closed except this project, everything is closed. Now this is my new. So here I'm going to create a flow. I want to get some static data. Okay, so here I'm going to create some HTTP REST service. Now I need a HTTP listener to listen my application. And also I want to send some static data. I am going to create a set payload. Nothing but here I can give some payload. I can say that hello world. Okay, welcome. So here this is my application. Now this is a configuration. You just dragged the component like a connector component. Now you want to configure it. So in order to do the connector configuration, here you have an option to do the connector configuration. Let us take an example. So I want / demo. If suppose this is a URL, user is hitting with a get method. Okay, if he hit this, then he want to get a response like a hello. Okay, so now what I will do based on this, I'm going to configure my configuration. So here I will put the local host because right now I'm going to deploy into my local. So that is the reason I'm going to use the local host and default port equal to 8081. And what is the next? I have a path equal to demo. So let me copy this path and here I will put the path. Under the path I will put it as a demo. Okay, now this is my application. So let me run this. Now I can run it. So if you run the application, it will deploy your application in a server like this server. This server we call it as a standalone server. Even in case if suppose you are working on a Java web services, so you need a server. In order to deploy your web service application, you need a server. So without server, you cannot deploy your application. So in a MuleSoft, it is provided standalone server, like nothing but inbuilt with Anypoint Studio. If you download this Anypoint Studio, automatically the server will be, it will come along with your Anypoint Studio. You don't want separately download your application, the server. Okay. So for the design phase or deployment phase, development phase, you don't bother about the Mule server. But the same code, if suppose you want to deploy the same code in a Linux server, then inside the server, you need to deploy first, you need to install this Mule server, just like our runtime manager, like RV. Okay, not RV, we have a, what it is, TIBCO TRE, right?
BusinessWorks
Runtime.
and all the runtime
runtime environment. Yeah, TRE. So we need that. Same way here, we need this Mule server on top of the Linux server. So on top of this Mule server, we will deploy this application. Okay. For now, this is deployed in my standalone server, Mule server 4.2.2. Now it is deployed. Now I can hit the service from my Postman or client, whatever it may be, any client, like localhost 8081, and then here the path equal to demo. Okay. Now we will get the response here. Even you can do the same from the code, because this is a get method. Even if you get from the Chrome also. So you got the hello. Okay. Even you get it from the Chrome, because this is a REST service. You know, like what is a REST services? Okay. So even in Amazon.com or Flipkart, whatever it may be nowadays, everyone are using APIs. So whenever you are submitting some request to get or to post, in backend there is some API, a RESTful service, which is invoking or which is listening, just like this. Okay. So now here I just passed the demo, like a sample message, but instead of set payload, now I can use a database. If suppose really I want to get the data from the database, then I can add first a database here. So inside the database, if suppose I want to use a select query, then I can use a select query and I can write a select star from table. Okay. And before calling that, so we need to configure the connector. So here I will configure the connector. Let us take, I'm working on a MySQL connection, MySQL server. Then I can use a MySQL server. Here we need to provide the host, port, username, and password. And then you can test the connection. So once it's done, then you can configure. You can drag it here. Your configuration is done. So that directly you will get the data from the database and it will return back to the RESTful client. Okay. Same way you can implement the business logic. Any doubt?
Okay, then Kishore, like so when we build the application, so we package as a jar or like where?
As a jar file. So previously, before 4.4th version, so we implemented on a zip file. So we will package it as a zip file, deployable, Mule deployable zip file. Now it is a jar file.
Okay. So that jar just will using runtime manager either will deploy in cloud or like on premises, wherever like.
Anywhere you can put these jar files. These are the jar files. Okay.
Okay.
So these are the jar files. Just take this jar file and then deploy into a server. Okay. Any more doubts? Coming to the course content, this is the course content which we are going to cover right now here. So this is the course content which is provided the MuleSoft itself. Okay. So we are also covering the same course, because once we cover this course, then we are ready for the certificate. We don't want to prepare separately for the certification. Okay. So, and also it covered all the important topics which are required, which are mandatory for each and every project. It may not cover all the components which are there in a MuleSoft. It's never happened. Not only MuleSoft, even in TIBCO, if you go for any training, they will not cover all the components, because we don't have the scope to work on all the components. But we need some components which are mandatory for each and every project. So he covered all the concepts which are required for a project. So that is the reason we are going through the same course. But along with this, what we were doing here, so we will cover the advanced topics. So in this course, they never talk about the securities, and they never talk about the unit test cases, and they never talk about the databases in the different like operations. So we will cover all these things, all the concepts here. Okay. So coming to this structure, first we will introduce about the design phase, like what exactly the design. So what we will do in a design. Okay. Once we design is completed, then we will go for the deployment, like a build in Anypoint Studio. So how we are going to build our application. Once it is built, and then how we will do the deployment. This is a runtime manager. So after completing this, so we are in a position, by completing this fourth topic, we are in a position to get to know all about the all tools which are there in the Anypoint Studio or Anypoint platform, like a Studio, Runtime Manager, and API Manager, and there is one more tool called API Manager. So this is a tool which is taking care about the securities, your API security. Okay, like creating a proxy, applying a policies. Where this is a place where we are applying all these things, API Manager. So it will cover the access management, it will cover the design center and exchange. After that, so from the fifth chapter onwards, we will deep dive into the Anypoint Studio, like different type of concepts, like interacting with the JMS components, interacting with the database components, and like other components like a Salesforce component, and even we will interact with the Five component. Okay, JMS, just like a JMS, we have another component here, VM, virtual machine transport barrier. So we will do about that, and some web services. We will interact with the third-party web services, and error handling. We'll discuss about some other controlling flows. Okay, and data view. So this is a data view language, just like a expression language, like in a TIBCO we have a XPath expressions, right? Same way here we have a data view. So using the data view, we can achieve any kind of expressions. Okay, like converting one data format to another data format, or applying some functions. Okay, creating a custom data types, custom functions. That everything we can do under this data view. Okay, and then we have a batch process. So this is a one more advantage in MuleSoft. So though we have in a TIBCO or any other technologies, we have a batch concept, but ideally it is not fulfilling the batch requirement. But in a MuleSoft, it's a very easy to implement, and also it has an advanced concept which they implemented using the batch processing, like a bulk processing, even from database to file to database or Salesforce, whatever it may be. Okay, and the prerequisites, you need to install Anypoint Studio. If you want to install Anypoint Studio, you need a JDK 7 or above 7. Okay, and the Maven. So these are the mandatory tools which we require in our laptop. And coming to the configuration, your laptop configuration. So you need at least 8 GB RAM, and yeah, this is the only mandatory thing. So you need 8 GB RAM and 64-bit. It won't MuleSoft won't work on 32-bit. It is a 64-bit. This is your configuration.
Okay.
Okay, that's it. The remaining all are common. So you need to know. So in this course, so if required, so it's not a part of the course, but if required, I will explain about this CI/CD pipeline, like Hadoop, like DevOps, like how to do the deployment, how they will configure, auto build and auto deployment process and all. Okay. So this is about the course. So any doubts?
Actually, a little bit. I mean, as I'm new to this, it's not, clear to me. But I think I'm hoping that I'll understand while the classes are going on.
Yes, Amit. So yeah, this is an overview, like what exactly we are doing here. So going forward, you will get to know like what exactly those components, why we will use, where we will use. Okay.
Okay. And regarding the timings, what are the class timings?
Yeah, that Subbu will tell you that, Amit. So there is one batch is going on. Once we come done with the batch, then otherwise we will look for the alternate timings, the morning or evening.
Okay.
Okay, Chandra, any doubts before wind up the call?
I think it's good, but like how long it takes this course? Like maybe 1 month?
Yeah. Actually, it required 23 hours. Okay, to complete this course. So overall, we will take a 1 month course. 1 month every day 1 hour.
1 hour.
Okay, which
Okay.
includes some basically the intention of this course is to know the basics of this MuleSoft and how to crack the interview and how to crack the certificate. So once we have gone through this course, definitely I will guarantee that you can crack the interview and also you can crack the certification course. Okay, that is the motto of this training.
And one thing, how are the salaries for this MuleSoft? I mean, for 3-4 years. Any idea?
It's see right now in Indian terminology, if I want to say like MNCs. So if MNCs terminology, this is a niche skill, like a hard skill. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
currently this is a hard skill, like how they are paying for hard skill based on their like their standards.
Okay.
It is a hard skill.
Okay.
So if it is an Accenture, they are providing a bonus around 30,000 to 1 lakh, depending on your designation. So other than your
Okay.
salary. The same way in
Okay.
Wells Fargo, even in HSBC, same.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Thanks, Andhra. Thanks, Amit.
Okay.
Like Kishore, like I spoke to Subbu, maybe because I live in Australia, which is 4.5 hours gap, like 4.5 hours van. So I'm looking for a batch, evening batch, why? Because 9 to 5 Australia Standard time I have to work. So which is like
So evening
India,
is which time?
7 p.m. or 7:30. Is it possible? I'm not sure. Like I have to check with Subbu.
Okay. Yeah, fine, no problem. Right now there is a 8 to 9 o'clock batch. So we'll see. We'll let you know, Chandra.
Yeah. Okay. No worries.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.